Hey everyone, I'm Michael. I'm going to be your presenter this morning. Welcome along. This webinar is for Sage 50 accounts. Specifically, it's part of our customers webinars that we've been running since the beginning of July. And we're running those also different areas throughout August as well. Today we're looking at allocating and unallocating transactions. So allocating is really just the process of almost like matching transactions within your customer records. So you might have uh, credit notes and things like payments on account that you just need to match essentially. So what we term allocating. We'll also cover the unallocate option as well. Right, quite a small agenda. Session should last around about half an hour today. So brief introduction, and then we'll just get stuck into some demonstrations. Keep your comments and questions coming. We'll try and pick those up though as we're running through today's session. Just towards the end, we'll explain more about the additional support that's available to assist you with your software and any questions that you might have. And obviously, if there's any outstanding questions, I'll be trying to pick those up as we go through. Laura will be there to pick those up as we're running through the session as well. But if there's anything outstanding at the end, we'll try and pick those up. Maybe if we've got time, pop in a few additional demos here and there as well. But do keep them coming. We'll try our best to pick up as many as we can. If we don't get a chance to answer your question on the session today, we'll just answer that via email afterwards. So you should expect a response by the end of today. Right, let's get stuck in then. So allocations and unallocating. So what is an allocation? Sort of alluded that just as I started the webinar there. An allocation is basically the link between two transactions. So what pays off what and when. You might have an invoice with a receipt against it or a credit against it. It's that link between the two. So the software knows what is paying what and when. Now, transactions can have more than one allocation. So it can be on a one-to-one basis. So an invoice paid by a receipt, or it could be a one-to-many sort of situation. So an invoice that may be part paid by a credit and the balance by a receipt. It could be paid by a number of credits, a number of receipts, or part payments that you've received. Maybe you had a deposit up front. They can all be used to be matched against a specific invoice. It could even be a number of invoices allocated to one credit note. Now, allocations are used by reports, such as the aged debtors, also used by things like statements as well. So depending on this type of statement that you run, and we'll be touching on that in the demonstration in a few moments. So for the aged debtors, for instance, you might want to see what was outstanding at the end of a particular period. So if in the situation we've got there, the example where we've got an invoice in June, it's paid by a receipt in July. If we were to just run an aged debtors report, depending when you run it up to, so let's say we run that up to the end of June, do we want to see that invoice is outstanding at the end of June or not? Or do we just want to see, right, at the end of June, what's still outstanding? We've got respective options so that we can see what was outstanding at that time. You'll see that in the demonstration. Some of you may have attended the aged debtors webinar previously, and I think we've got one of those next week as well, if anyone wants to understand the aged debtors in a bit more detail. We've also got the unallocate option as well, where you can reassign the transaction. So let's say you've got a number of invoices on your account, and you've popped on a receipt or a credit note, and you match that against a transaction, you think, actually, that should have been matched against a different invoice, for instance. You've got that unallocate option, which will sever that link, and it means that when you go back in, you can reallocate that transaction. We'll show you how to do that as well. So what we'll do, we'll just get stuck into some demonstrations, a lot more meaningful than me just talking to you about it and sharing some slides. So we'll get stuck into some demonstrations. I'll share my screen and then we'll start running through a bit of a demonstration for you. Right, So you should see my version of Sage Accounts at this point. I'm going to be using version 34 today. Version 34 is the latest version, if you're not aware of that one. If you're not on the latest version, you can simply head on across to our website and just search for it within the Help Center. So if you go to sage.co.uk/help, choose Sage 50 accounts, and then just type in version 34. It should find that, or any of the installation areas will link off to the latest version. You'll be able to download that and get that installed. Right, so on our account here, this A1 Design Services, we just pop into it. So I'll just double click it. It'll take me into the activity. Or I'm going to pop into the activity, I should say. And we've got a list of transactions. So we've got an invoice at the top. When we click on the invoice to highlight it, it'll highlight that transaction. We can see though there's nothing in the outstanding column. The O/S column. It means it's fully paid. Now, what is paying off this transaction? If we want to check that, all we need to do is look at this bottom box. Now, if you don't have this bottom box displayed, it's this hide detail, show detail option at the top. So yours might just look like this, where you've just got a list of transactions. If you click show detail, you'll get this box at the bottom to give you more information. So this invoice here that we've got highlighted, in the bottom box, it's got more detail of the transaction that we've highlighted, but then we've got this one here, sort of this second line at the bottom. So we can see the original invoice was for 66.73, and this sort of secondary line, it's saying £66.73 from, it's got the transaction type, so SR in this instance, and so it's saying SR 265. So the 265 relating to the actual transaction number. So we got that traceability. And similarly, if we scroll down to find transaction 265, right the way to the bottom. So we can find transaction 265. If we highlight that one, and we can see what transaction 265 is allocated against. So in this case, the sales receipt is actually paying off a number of invoices. You can see everything it's matched against. So you've got that traceability should you need it. Right, now I set up a number of customers in advance, and I've got some outstanding balances here. So we're going to go through, first of all, the process of allocating a transaction. Now this one at the moment, it's a basic account. So on it, we've got one invoice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly put on, first of all, I'm just going to put a payment on account against this one. So we'll go into the customer receipts option and I'll choose that account. So it was M1. Select it from my list there. Brings up what's outstanding at the moment, but I'm not going to show it as being paid off just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put an amount against it. So I'm going to just show a deposit of £100, and I'll call that deposit as well. I'll just quickly save that. So we'll just click yes to that prompt. So I haven't matched anything just yet. And you might find you're in this position where actually you've got an account, it's got a zero balance, but it appears on things like your customer statements, it appears on your aged debtors. And that's because if we look at the activities again on this one, we'll see we've got the two transactions, and it might be obvious when you're just looking at that they're for each other. They should net each other off. You might find you're in the position like that with credit notes as well. But we can see that currently, technically, these are both outstanding. So we just need to match them, or what we term allocate them. Now we do that by going into the customer receipt window. So if we go into the customer receipt window, and we'll call up that M1 account. I'll just type it in this time. And it'll bring up whatever's outstanding. So we can see we've got the invoice, we've got the payment on account. And to match the transactions, and you might have a number of transactions that you want to match, you don't need to enter anything at the top here. So I don't need to enter a reference or an extra reference or even an amount. I'm not actually receiving any money. All I want to do is I want to match these existing transactions. Now you can do this in any order, but what I like to do is start with essentially the credit transaction. So either the payment on account or the credit note if you have one. So I'll click against that one and I'm going to match this one in full. So it's £100 payment on account and it's £100 that's outstanding against the invoice. So I'm just going to click pay in full. I could have just typed in that value, of course. So you'll see the amount changes to minus 100. And what I want to do is I want to show that as paying off £100 worth of this invoice. That invoice could be outstanding for more than what I've just selected there. So I'm just going to type it in this time. And when I do that, when I tab out of that field, you'll see the amount at the top is 0. And also the analysis total is 0. And all I'm going to do at that point is save it. It disappears. And if I call up that account again, you can see that when I do that, there's nothing listed. So those transactions have been allocated together. We'll just close out of that. Let's go and have a look at the activity on this one. So we've got the two transactions. You can see there's nothing in the outstanding column now. So they're essentially showing as fully paid. And you've got the links between the two as well. So I'll highlight that top one, that SI transaction. In the bottom, it's sales invoice. It's for £100. And below that, in the bottom box, we can see any transactions matched against it. So we got £100 from SA 1241. So 1241 relating to the actual transaction number, what we termed as the audit trail number. You can see that on the list as well. Similarly, vice versa, if we highlight transaction 1241 at the top there, you'll see you've got similar details and you can see what it's matched against. So £100 of the payment on account is matched against SI 1235. So it's not the actual invoice number itself, it actually refers to the transaction number. Don't get caught out by that one. Again, we can see 1235 at the top. So that's how you go about allocating transactions. Sometimes you go through that for tidying up your accounts. You might do it because maybe you're trying to clear your audit trail and you can't do it because you've got outstanding transactions. Or maybe it is things like aged debtors or customer statements where you're in that position. Now, the other way we can view what's allocated is to edit transaction. Now, we can edit transaction directly from within the activity window. We can also do that from within the likes of the transactions window as well. Gives us the same options. So if we highlight our invoice and we go into edit the transaction, what we need to do is in the bottom here, we've got the breakdown of the invoice. So it's only one item in my case. So what we term the item line details. So we highlight the relevant line. It is only the one. If we just edit that, and it will show me the allocations. So what is that line of the invoice? Bear in mind, it could be a multiple line invoice. So the one I had highlighted, what is paying that off? So again, we've got the detail at the bottom here. You may have more than one. Just a single line in this instance. Again, it's telling me we got £100 from SA 1241. That's how you can check your allocations and, of course, how you can go about allocating in the first place. Right, let's pick on customer number 2. So customer number 2, it has an outstanding invoice at the moment. If we just have a quick look at the activity, you can see all I've got on there, we've got an SI on there for £120. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly enter a batch credit. Now, your credit note could obviously could be raised from within the invoices and credits module. So I'm just going to enter a batch credit. I'm going to do it for the same amount as well. I'll just quickly pop in the amounts. So we'll do £100 plus VAT. Details, I'll just type credit. So we've got £120 in total. I'll save that, close out, and we can see for this account, we've got a zero balance. We have a quick look at the activity. Again, we've got the invoice, we've got the credit note, but we can see they're still both outstanding. So again, it might be obvious to you, but we need to allocate those transactions together. So we need to match them. Now, if we don't match them, and this is a common scenario as well, if we have a look at things like an aged debtors report. So we're just going to reports, and we'll go into the aged debtors area. And if I just choose this aged debtors analysis contacts, I'll preview it, obviously, so you can see it. I'll just accept all of the details. And let's zoom in a bit so you can see that. I can hardly see that myself. So you may be in this position where you're looking at the likes of an aged debtors report. You're thinking, if we scroll down to that M2 account, so this one just showing zeros all the way across. But when we're looking at a contacts report, it's showing you a summary for each of those periods. It just looks like, well, why is that one being included? There's nothing in there. If we were to run a detailed report, so we'll run this one. Again, I'll just run it up to today's date. Just get down to roughly the right page so we can see that M account. Oh, gone past it. So we want that M2 account. I'll zoom in again, give you a chance of seeing what we're talking about. So this M2 account, it's still included on the report, but we can see actually both of the transactions are in the same period, which is why it just was showing zero all the way across on that contacts report, because both transactions are in that same period. So they cancel each other out. But they are included on the report, and that's because there are outstanding transactions. You'll find yourself in a similar position if you were to, let's say, run a statement. So just do it for M2 only. We go into statements. And if we click into layouts, we might do a one that says, right, actually, we want this one, outstanding items. So we might be sending out a statement to a customer that actually they've got nothing out. They shouldn't really have anything outstanding. The statement is produced for that customer. They've got this one invoice on there, one credit. Do I really want to be sending a statement to that customer? Probably not. That's just listing the transactions that have occurred, as opposed to giving them a list of what's outstanding. So we just need to tidy everything up. And again, we do that in the same way as what we looked at earlier when we allocated the payment on account. So we go into the customer receipt window, bring up that customer, so M2. It lists whatever's outstanding. So in this instance, again, you don't have to do it in this way, but I always start with a credit transaction. So whether that's a payment on account or the credit note, click against that one. I'll pay it in full. So showing a minus value at the top, and then I'm going to choose the invoice or invoices that I want to show that as being allocated against. So again, I'll just pay that one in full, and then I would normally just save it. Now I'm going to show you another way of doing that before I save this one. I'll just clear it. So if you've got a little bit of quite a few of these accounts to do, what you can do is use the automatic option. Sorry, the wizard option, I should say. But click into the wizard, not massively use this option. The idea of the wizard is it will guide you through the process. So in this case, I want to allocate all credit notes to invoices. You've got a similar option for payments on account. So if I choose that option, I'll allocate all credit notes to invoices. This is the account that I'm on, so quite happy with that one. I'll just do allocate. And what that does, it completes the window for me. So you can see the receipt values are filled in for me. And all I need to do at that point is I click save. If I click save, call up the M2 account again, you can see it doesn't list anything, so everything's now matched. And if I was to now go back and let's say we run the age debtors report, just run that first one, the contacts reports. Again, up to today's date. And just zoom in a bit so you can see what isn't included on the report. And if I scroll down, you'll see that where previously the M2 account was included, it's no longer included on that report. And that's because there's nothing outstanding for the relevant period that we ran the report for. So it's again just a way of tidying up that account. Right, final one I'm going to quickly demonstrate to you is the use of the unallocate option. So we've got an account here, just to quickly show you the activity before we go into it. We've got two invoices. First one is 360 and the second one is 120. So we're going to say the customer pays us £120. So I'm just going to go into the customer receipt window. We'll call up that account. Actually, I'll just type it in, M3 this time. Now you'll see it lists 4 items here. It just depends on whether you've got the little tick box selected here. If I don't have it, it'll show me equivalent of what I had on the activity there. So let's say I've come in and customers paid me £120 and I've just typed it in against this specific invoice. And I'll save that. And when I call up that account again, M3, you'll see that invoice has now disappeared and it's just the first one that was originally there. Now we may be in a position where we've just put that on, we've paid off whatever it was for, we weren't too bothered about what was matched against what, but let's say the customers come back to us and they say, well, actually, that invoice that we just looked at, or that receipt that you just posted, it was for, we want that to show us paying off part of the first invoice. Now we can do one of two things at that point. We could just, of course, delete the receipt. Both invoices would then show as being fully outstanding again. But maybe we've already bank reconciled that. We've used bank feeds. We've reconciled that receipt. So we don't want to delete it and go through that process again. What we want to do is we want to just say, well, actually, that receipt isn't for that invoice. We want to show it against the first invoice. So what we can do, we can use the unallocate option. Now, if we go back to the activity, you can see you've got the unallocate transaction option at the top. We've also got a similar option if we go into transactions. It does the same thing. It's just called unallocate in this screen, but it's the same option. So let's work within the customer's ledger. So we'll go back to the activity. And we'll highlight the receipt. We'll unallocate transaction. Do you want to unallocate this transaction? So basically, we're going to sever that link between the receipt. So I just choose no for the time being. We've got the receipts here. And at the bottom, you can see it's £120 to SI 1240. So we highlight the transaction, unallocate it. This time we'll click yes. And you can see on here that the receipt is now outstanding again. So it's still on there, still a bank transaction. If it was reconciled, it would still be bank reconciled, etc. But it's now unallocated. It's not matched against anything. You've got the same option for credit notes, for instance. You could sever that link, reallocate it against something else. And it just means that when we now close out of the account, we can go back into the customer receipt window, call up that account, list all of the outstanding transactions so that where we did have a receipt, it's now showing as a payment on account. So we'll start with the credit transaction, 120. And this time, rather than just show it going against that last transaction, I'm going to say, right, well, actually, I want it to go against this transaction here. So I'm just going to type in 120. You can see before I save it, I haven't received any money. All I'm doing is matching. That's your double check before you save it. Just want to allocate. So nothing here. The amount is zero. Also, the analysis total at the bottom is zero. If we save that, bring up that account again, and it shows us what's outstanding. So nice simple option. It saves you the unallocate option. It saves you going through that. Maybe having to go through things like correcting your bank reconciliation, etc. again. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of food for thought for allocating and unallocating transactions. Got some questions. I will come on to those in just a moment. Actually, we'll pick up on Dawn's query now. Dawn was asking, if I have an account that has hundreds of transactions in it, including invoices, credits, refunds, etc., how can you allocate it easily? So normally takes ages. So easiest option is using that wizard option. So when you go into that customer receipt, if you go into the wizard option, so you can't do credit notes and payments on account at the same time. So it'll just be a case of allocating all credit notes to invoices. So it'll go through, and where it can, it'll show your credit notes being allocated to whatever invoices it can. The only thing with it, it will go on a first come, first served basis. So it won't look at sort of reference numbers and say, right, this one's reference 37, I'll look for invoice 37. It won't do that. It'll just say, right, we've got a credit note for £100. We've got an invoice, right? Can we pay that off? Right, we'll pay that. Is there any of the credit note left over? Right, we'll match the next one, and it will keep going until the value of the credit note is used. So it'll just go on a sort of a first come, first served basis. Similar for payments on account as well. So it might just mean that you need to go through both of them, both options, to make that as quick as possible. Let's see if I've got any other questions. I think Laura's picked the other ones up. Come back to them if there are any outstanding questions in just a moment. Right, if you do have any questions just at this stage though, because we're just about on track for what we thought, how long the webinar would last this morning. If you've got any questions, remember you can pop them into the questions panel. If you haven't yet discovered that one, just top right hand corner of your browser window, you'll have that sort of rectangular sort of speech bubble icon. Give it a click. You should have a panel looks similar to what you can see on screen there. You'll have that down the right hand side of your screen. You can pop in your question at the bottom. Remember to click send, otherwise we won't get those. And again, remember, if you do want a copy of today's slides, not much on there. You will find the detailed information, the step-by-step guides, etc. You will find that available in the help center. But I know a lot of you do like the slides just for your own notes. Now remember, a copy of the recording, it will be included. A link to that will be included on your follow-up email, which you're going to receive in round about an hour's time. Right, okay. So we'll just give you a chance to pop those questions through. I've got one from Samantha, which I'll pick up in a moment. Samantha's just asking about, can you unallocate and allocate to a different account? Sort of. I'll cover that one in a moment, though. I'll run through an example of that one. It's a good question. So again, your follow-up email, it will be with you in around about an hour's time. So there will be a link to today's recording if you want a bit of a recap. If you want to work through it, remember you've got the demonstration data, you've got the practice data that you can play around with as well, just to develop your knowledge that little bit further. So trying things without actually impacting on your live data. Now remember, there's loads of live webinars. You can access our webinars page, and a link to this page will be included on your follow-up email. So a link to our live webinars page. So do get yourself registered for any other sessions that might interest you. There are the recordings as well if you need recaps of any other sessions that you may have attended, or maybe you've missed them. Loads of topics on there to get your knowledge up to speed. If anyone requires personalized training, we do offer that. A link should be included on your follow-up email. Or if you want to get started, get a quote for, see if we can cover what you're after. You've got the QR code on your screen. They're included in the slides as well. And just in case anyone's about to leave, let me quickly thank you for coming along today. So these are a little bit shorter, these sessions. We try to aim for around about half an hour. If you've got any thoughts around that, let us know. There'll be an opportunity to pop that on the survey. That should pop up as you leave. So do take that minute. Let us know what you thought of the webinar. If you've got any ideas for topics you'd like to see covered going forward, let us know. Pop it on the survey. That follow-up email will be with you in round about half an hour's time. So if you are leaving, many thanks, and hopefully I'll see you again on some of our sessions. If you want to hang around, we'll start picking up some of the questions that we've got. Right, so let's go back to Samantha's question. Share my screen again. We'll try and pick that up. Right, so share the screen. It should be shared now. Right, so Samantha's question was, can I unallocate and allocate to a different account? So let's go back to this account here. If we have a look at the activity. So we've got this payment on account. It's showing £100, not outstanding. It's matched against this invoice. Now let's say we've put that on, and we've since discovered actually we've put that against the wrong account. Now we can unallocate if we wanted to, but let's say that should have been for the account, that M3 account. Now I don't need to unallocate. It will do it automatically. If I just edit the transaction, and what I'm going to do is this transaction, which is allocated against M1, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to allocate it against the M3 account. So if I just OK that, save the changes. Do you wish to post these changes? Yes, I do. And that's it. Now on this M1 account, I can see, right, this invoice, it's fully outstanding again. I haven't needed to unallocate. It's done that for me because I've moved the payment. I've moved that to a different account. So this invoice is fully outstanding again. If we go on to that M3 account where we moved it to, if you have a look at the activity, it was that transaction there. So we just moved that across to a different account essentially. So that's now in a position where we could go into the customer receipt window and we could choose what we want to allocate that against. So it does that unallocating for you. So it just saves you a little bit of time, that one, Samantha. Right, let's see what else we got. Right, not really relating to customers, so we just got a question from Helen there. Helen's asking, if a bank payment was posted to the wrong nominal code and it's not possible to correct it as the month end has passed, what is the way that this error can be corrected in a different period? Right, so if you're in that position, now the fact that you've run a month end itself, or you ran your month end process, it wouldn't actually stop you from editing the bank payment itself. You would still be able to go in and amend that if needed. However, taking into account that you've probably done your month end reports and you now want to transfer it, probably the best thing to do would be to do a journal in your next month from the nominal code that you did post that bank payment to across to the nominal code that you should have posted it to. So a simple journal would probably be I suppose in accounting, it'd probably be the best thing to do. The simplest thing, of course, would just be to go back and edit the actual bank payment itself. Hope that makes sense. Again, if you wanted to play around with that to check the two outcomes, Helen, remember you've got both the demonstration company. So if you just want to file, open, you've got the demo data and the practice data. Demo data's got loads of dummy information in there. You can play around with that. The practice data, you can either start from scratch, use blank data, or you can actually restore a backup of your data into that practice company, and it will be there for the time that you're in that practice company. As soon as you come out of that practice company, it just resets. It means that you can have a play around with options to see how it looks on your data without impacting on your live company, as it were. So data that you're familiar with. It's a good option, that one. Been around for a few versions now, that the ability to restore into the practice company. But I hope that answers that question for you. Right, I think questions are drying up at that point. So we're ready to end the webinar just at that point. Once again, if you do get a chance, if you can, just take that minute to complete that little survey. It should pop up as you leave today's session. That'd be greatly appreciated. That's all we ask. Webinars are free to attend, but if you can take that minute afterwards just to let us know, did we hit the mark or not, that would be great. But we'll end the webinar just at that point. Many thanks for coming along. Do take a look at the link once it's received on the follow-up email. Take a look at the registration page, get yourself registered for some of the sessions, and we hope to see you on them very soon. Many thanks.